welcome to Across the Fence. I'm Jolie Whitney. If you live in Vermont or you're just visiting, stopping at a farm for some pick-your-own produce, a maple tasting, or sampling a spirit or two is always tops. For 10 years, UVM Extension and the Vermont Fresh Network, as well as a host of sponsors, have opened the farm gates for Vermont Open Farm Week. This 7-day celebration, which this year takes place August 4th to 11th, allows the public to take a peek behind the curtain to see how the sausage is made, sometimes literally. In a minute, we'll hear from a farmer about why they participate in this annual celebration of food and farming. But first, I want to introduce our guests. Lisa Chase leads UVM Extension's Vermont Tourism Research Center, and Tara Pereira is the Executive Director of Vermont Fresh Network. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you for joining us. I know it's an early day, but and of course, as you look back on a decade of Vermont's Open Farm Weeks, what stands out for both of you? Why don't we start with you, Lisa?
This has just been an incredible opportunity for farms all over the state to welcome visitors on their farms, whether they're visitors from their neighborhood, their community, or whether it's people coming from far away. A lot of the farms for Vermont Open Farm Week are open other times, not just this week, but this week is extra special because we have farms that aren't always open to visitors, sometimes trying it out for the first time and showcasing the food, the fuel, the fiber, their products for their first time to their community, neighbors, and beyond.
It's an exciting opportunity. And how about for you, Tara?
I'd say that, I mean, from what I've seen, I've just seen the growth of agritourism and the idea of participation on farms, visiting farms. Agriculture is such an important part of Vermont's heritage and community and just culture, and it's great to see the growth of on-farm events and the types of things to do, whether it is pick your own, which everyone, we're in berry season right now, but it's also just concerts or burger nights, as you mentioned before, but or kids concerts, things like that. It's just great to see that interaction between the public and farmers, local farmers.
Absolutely. And Lisa, you've been studying agritourism for your whole career. What do farms participating in this get out of it?
Well, the number one reason why farms do diversify into agritourism, into welcoming visitors on their farm, is for financial reasons. Farm viability, to create new jobs on their farm. Sometimes it's other folks in the family or the next generation wanting to be part of the farm, but wanting to do more than the food production. A lot of the farmers involved in agritourism have education backgrounds. So number one, the finances have to work. But number two, and this is a very close second, it's so important for so many of our Vermont farms to share their culture and heritage with their neighbors, with visitors from far away, to help people understand where food comes from, because these days in the US, less than 2% of the population actually works on a farm. So, a generation or two ago, many people had a grandparent that was sugaring or a neighbor that maybe had an apple orchard, so they could get a farm experience that way. These days, in Vermont, but especially across the US and around the world, with the increase in urbanization, a lot of people are just completely disconnected from where their food comes from. They have no idea that milk comes from a cow, for example. And this is really an opportunity for education and community building, and that's a huge motivation for our Vermont farms that open up to visitors.
All right, and Tara, you work with Vermont Fresh Network, and can you tell me how their goal of bringing Vermont-grown products to restaurants and tables around the state, can you tell me how that aligns with Open Farm Week?
Sure. As you said, our mission as a nonprofit is to connect farms with restaurants and stores, also specialty food and beverage. But the third part of that, I guess a triangle or line, is the public, and we want the public, whether they're in state or they come to visit from other countries, which happens, right, at various events. We want them to understand and prioritize the local farms, local ingredients, local products, because we're talking food, but don't forget fiber and wool and all that sort of thing. But we want them to understand those connections, basically. You meet a farmer, you buy their product at their event, go to a restaurant that prioritizes those connections with that farmer, or buy some jam. That, you know, it's all, it's part of our broader effort to educate about local agriculture, the importance of supporting it, and the importance of, you know, protecting the working landscape.
All right. And Maple Wind Farm in Richmond has been participating in Open Farm Week for many years, and their goal is to make sure consumers see the effort farmers put into the food they produce. Across the Fence intern Kate Luton played a visit to the farm and has our story.
Just off the highway, there is a stretch of Interstate 89 in Richmond that many people don't notice on their daily commute. Maple Wind Farm. Owned by Beth Whiting and Bruce Hennessy, the farm takes a unique approach to caring for its livestock that's highlighted in this year's Open Farm Week.
This is a busy road, and there's a lot of people in our community that still haven't ever stopped here. So we're not, you know, we're not on everybody's radar. So that's, you know, I think it's the power of the community of Vermont farmers together with the idea of the Open Farm Week that makes for a really nice collaboration.
Open Farm Week is a statewide event that allows the public to know where and who their food comes from. The event connects locals and visitors to farms holding events across the state in an effort to bridge the public to the private spaces where their food is grown.
It's an amazing opportunity for both locals and visitors from out of state to really get to see farms firsthand and experience days on the farm, workshops, dinners, events, talks, things that the farmers don't ordinarily offer because we're very busy as farmers. So they put their best foot forward.
For Whiting, this opportunity provides a teachable moment for participants.
Bruce and I both have master's degrees in education. We used to be teachers. So it actually is part of what we do every day. When someone walks into my farm store, I love to tell people how it's different. When we're on a farm tour, we explain and show people how it's different.
Whiting doesn't want this to be a stale lesson. She wants visitors to have fun as well. The farm hosts concerts, barbecues, and pasture walks.
At Maple Wind Farm, we're hosting a free pasture walk for folks that want to just come and see how we raise the animals here at Maple Wind Farm because we do things quite a bit differently. They're all raised on pasture. The chickens and the turkeys and the pigs and the cows, when we have them, they're all moved daily to fresh grass. And then we are also hosting a fried chicken dinner on that Friday night for folks to come and enjoy the products that we raise. When we do our pasture walks, and especially the one that's being hosted during Open Farm Week, we love the fact that there's a lot of aha moments, you know, because it's family friendly for one. And so not only do we love educating the consumer that's actually got the wallet, that's actually buying the food, but it's very, very provocative for the children that are coming with the families. And they had no idea that, you know, a chicken that's laying their egg is living in this beautiful pasture setting, and they can actually, you know, go into our egg coop and pick an egg while they're here on our pasture walk. It's the tangible experience that really gets into their brain, that connects them to the food and having that personal experience. Everything that we do is mostly driven by, you know, labor and hands and movement, and it's not automated. Honestly, when you see the farm and you see how the farmers are doing the work and you have the transparency, then it makes you maybe think twice about what you're buying in the grocery store because you're sort of being led astray on the packaging. So, you know, when we say pasture raised, we mean it, by gosh. And they are living a good life, lots of fresh air, sunlight, fresh grass, and that's what truly pasture-raised means, not just a barn with an open door.
That good life makes a difference at Maple Wind Farm. A difference you can see, taste, and touch. Learn for yourself during Open Farm Week 2024, just off the highway and right under your nose. In Richmond, I'm Kate Lewin with Across the Fence.
Thank you, Kate. And if you're just joining us, we're talking with the organizers of Vermont Farm Week, Lisa Chase and Tara Pereira. Farming can often be somewhat of a solitary pursuit, but it sounds like more and more farms are kind of opening their doors to people to come visit. Can you tell me, are farms more likely to host public events, not just this week, but throughout the year?
Yes, actually in Vermont, we have a pretty high proportion, around 1/3 of our farms have direct sales or direct interaction with visitors. So whether it's on their farm or at a farmer's market or some other sort of off-farm event, in Vermont, 1/3 is actually a pretty high proportion. Nationwide, it tends to be much lower. And so we're really lucky here that our farms are a part of our rural community, and a lot of community building and connection happens on the farm, which is different in other parts of the U.S. So I think that's a big benefit here in Vermont, not just for the farmers, but also for the communities and the visitors.
And we're getting towards the end of our taping, but I'd be remiss if I didn't ask what people could look forward to this coming Open Farm Week. Why don't you start?
Yeah, I mean, from there's going to be, classes, wine classes, concerts for kids, yoga on the farm, berry picking. Also, there's so many events, over 148, close to 150 events, 49 farms across the state. So it's really there's something for all ages, and some are. I think people should just go out and check it out and have a good time.
All right, we're almost out of time, but anything you want to mention, Lisa?
The food.
All right.
I have had the best meals on farms.
Yes.
Because it is so fresh and hyper local. So there's a whole bunch of farm to table dinners and tastings and events.
Great.
And I encourage people to get out and enjoy.
All right,
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And Vermont Open Farm Week 2024 takes place August 4th through the 11th, and you can visit the website on your screen for a listing of events. That takes care of our program for today. I want to thank the crew behind the scenes here at WCAX. I'm Jolie Whitney. Have a good one.